guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. My name is Heather. I'm a homeschooling mom of 3 kids, elementary, middle, and high school age. Today I'm going to do a little book haul with you. So let's get started. Okay guys, if you have been watching my goal videos for the past couple of years, you will know that one of my goals the past couple of years is to read fiction every day because I got out of the practice of reading fiction in favor of a lot of nonfiction, a lot of memoir, a lot of self-development, personal development, productivity, business books. I really gravitate towards nonfiction. It's very easy for me to find nonfiction books to read. And that was my primary reading for many, many years. However, I really missed the practice of reading a story. And so the past couple of years, that is what I have been doing. However, this year, I have read a ton of books this year. So there is that. I am still reading every day. I'm still reading fiction every day, but I haven't been reading nonfiction much at all. And there were a bunch of new homeschooling books that came out recently in the past several months that I really wanted to read, and a few other books that I wanted to get as well. So I ended up doing a little book purchase, and so I'm going to share those books with you now. If you are not subscribed, I would love for you to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you are notified of all of my future videos. Yes, so the first book that I have is Dare to Build a Life You Love, Growing Boldly. This is by Emily Ley. So I think that this book is all about like building a business and her personal story. She has written several books and I have read all of them, but I saw this at Barnes & Noble and it looked interesting to me. I thought that it might have some tips about business, and there were little journal prompts throughout the book, and I love an interactive book like that, something that gives me a place to jot down my thoughts and asks probing questions. I really like that kind of stuff. So I was really excited to see this. I think that it talks about, setting some business goals, entrepreneurship type things, and I love all of that stuff. So I did actually get this at the beginning of September, but I haven't dug into it yet. I think that this is going to be one of those books that I'm going to work on in the month of December. As I am thinking about the new year, I know that I've talked a lot about what I'm going to use for goal planning for 2023 and some of my ideas going forward. And so I think that this is going to help me with that. I'm really excited to read this one. The next book that I have is Fair Play by Eve Rodsky. I think that's how you pronounce her name. Now, I actually saw this book in the Sorta Awesome Facebook group. There's a great podcast called Sorta Awesome by Meg Tietz, and she has some hilarious episodes. I've really enjoyed a lot of her episodes over the years, podcast episodes, but I happened to see somebody post about managing their home and communicating with their partner and trying to figure out a good rhythm for them to be in, because what happens is things were falling through the cracks, or somebody would expect one thing and that expectation was not met. And this is one of my focuses for 2023, is just managing my home better. But I realize that I definitely have a lot of very specific wants when it comes to managing my home. And so I tend to take all of that on myself because I don't want to take the time to try and help somebody else learn a process that I already have, even though it's a lot. So anyways, I started reading this book a couple of weeks ago. A couple of things that I thought were really interesting is how she divides everything in the management of her home and family up into these cards. And then each card, within each card, she says, when you hold the card, it means that you conceive, plan, and execute everything within that card. And I think that is definitely where I get tripped up, because I conceive and plan a lot and I do execute a lot, but some things I am hoping to transfer the execution of to my kids or my husband, because I have so many plates in the air. So I thought that was really interesting. And then also the minimum standard of care coming together with your spouse or partner and figuring out what that minimum standard of care within each of these playing cards is for you both. Having that discussion and really deep diving on what I find most important, what my husband finds most important, and how we can meld those two things together. I think it's really interesting. I don't like everything that she says, but there's never a book that I like everything that anybody says. But it's very interesting, and it's not something that I've considered when thinking about invisible work and just the things that I'm expected to get done each day. That maybe don't necessarily get acknowledged as much. So I'm really enjoying this. I'm probably about 2/3 of the way through right now. I just have a little bit left and I'm really excited to finish this book. So the next book that I have is Holy Hygge by Jamie Erickson, and she has written a couple of other books that I've read recently. I think The Unhurried Homeschooler is one of them, which I did enjoy. I love the practice of Hygge, especially in the winter in Maine. Anything cozy, I love. And I really liked how she was combining the cozy aspect of Hygge with the deep theological truths of the gospel, which is what it says on the back here. And so these are pretty easy chapters to get through. She talks about hospitality, relationships, well-being, atmosphere, comfort, contentment, and rest, and a few other things as well. I'm only about one chapter in on this book, but I think it's pretty good so far. I like to hear new ideas of how people use Hygge in their home and homeschool. It's something that I try to incorporate a lot of in the dark winter months: the candles, the lights, the reading aloud, the fire, in a fireplace. Just really leaning into the season and enjoying that together. I think that this is going to be a fun one to finish, and I will be reading this in December as I prepare for our Hygge season of January, February, March, which is typically when we are most in our Hygge element. Yes. The next book that I have is The Whole and Healthy Family by Jody Mockbee, and it says helping your kids thrive in mind, body, and spirit. This is another homeschool book that I saw that recently came out, and it says understand your personality and those of your spouse and children, create a simple, wholesome home environment, make healthy and nourishing meals, stay active as a family, prioritize spiritual growth and serving together, affirm and bless one another, and more. And so I really thought that this was going to be a good book. I needed some encouragement going into 2023 when it comes to homeschooling. If you've seen my homeschooling videos, my homeschool update videos have been a little crazy lately, and things have not gone as well as I had hoped that they would go. Not that they're bad, it's just been a very different year for us, where I'm focusing a lot on Emma's high school years, and that is good. It needs to be done, but I don't want to lose the magic and wonder of our homeschool in pursuit of a college prep high school course load. I still want Emma to be able to go to college. She still wants to start dual enrollment next year. So that still needs to be done, but it's been really busy in the fall. And so when it's so busy, we don't have the time for the fun stuff, like sitting and reading aloud for a couple of hours and having all of that discussion time and deep diving on other topics that we're interested in. So I think that this might just be really encouraging for me as I'm preparing for 2023 and the second half of our homeschool year. The next book that I have is Mothering by the Book: The Power of Reading Aloud to Overcome Fear and Recapture Joy by Jennifer Pepito. So as I just said, I love reading aloud with my kids. I think it's super important. The Thomas Jefferson education method of reading classical literature and then discussing it and learning through books, all of that, as well as my own literature-based homeschooling through Sunlight that we've done for so many years now. It's very important to me, and I love to read books like this. They encourage me and help me to realize why I want to continue doing what I'm doing, because sometimes, it's really hard when you're homeschooling because there is no other family that does homeschooling exactly like you. Whereas in the public school, it's very easy to see, okay, well, this whole cohort of kids is doing the exact same thing every day. That's not the case with homeschooling. And so sometimes you second guess yourself. Sometimes you feel like maybe you're not doing enough. Sometimes you feel like you're doing too much, but if you stop doing something, is that going to be a detriment to your kids? All of that stuff. So books like this are very helpful for me. It encourages me and helps me to see that I am doing what is best for my kids and I'm doing a good job. So I'm really interested to see what she has to say on the subject. There is another book that just recently came out by Sally Clarkson as well. And I actually have a couple other Sally Clarkson books in my stack that I did not purchase because it wasn't out. It hadn't been published yet. It was still on pre-order, but I'm hoping to get that as well. I will insert a picture here. It looked really interesting. And another one of those just really encouraging feed my soul type books to help prepare me for the second half of our homeschool year and just give me energy to continue moving in the right direction. All right, the next two books are Sally Clarkson books, and it is The Life-Giving Parent and The Life-Giving Parent Experience. A couple of years ago, my word of the year was life-giving, and it was based on these books that Sally Clarkson and Clay Clarkson, her husband, have written: The Life-Giving Parent, The Life-Giving Table, and The Life-Giving Home. I think they are amazing books with so much food for thought, so many interesting ideas to try out. And I have reread this book several times over the years. I didn't have it in physical form, and so I did want to purchase it because I want to go through and annotate it because I have read it so many times now on my Kindle, and I've also listened to it on audio several times. So I wanted to get this because I do want to go through and annotate it. I've just really been in a big reflection mode for family lately, and I think that might be because we had such a busy fall. And Emma is in high school, and so I'm just kind of having like this come to Jesus moment where I'm like, we are getting towards the end of my oldest kid's high school years, and what is next? And I want to make sure that I'm preparing her and also doing all of the things that I really find value in so that she holds a lot of that as she is launched into adulthood. Then this Life-Giving Parent Experience, I have never done this. I haven't read through it at all, but it has, I think there's 12 weeks maybe, no, 10. So there's 10 weeks of little projects within this book, numbering your child's days, nurturing your child's spirit, renewing your child's mind, strengthening your child's faith, cultivating your child's character, and some other ones. And so there is just a little bit of scripture, a little bit from the book, The Life-Giving Parent, and then some thoughts and the questions, which is what I'm really excited about, to just sort of flesh out some of the things that go through my head. Writing it down is always helpful to me when I can sit down and really figure out why I feel the way that I feel. It solidifies it in my brain when I write it out, and then I have a good answer when my kids ask questions or when somebody outside my home asks me a question about why I'm doing something a certain way. Also, I find that it helps when I am talking with my email community as well as my main Homeschool Network Facebook group, just to give them encouraging words as to making the right decisions for their individual family and their individual students. I think this type of information helps me formulate my thoughts better. And so I'm really excited to go through this. I don't know if I'm going to start this until January. I will probably read through this starting in December. That is my hope, although I have all of these books that I'd like to do in December. So this is probably the last one that will be on my list, mainly because I have read it before. So it's going to be a reread and I want to get through the new books first. But I'm really excited to go through and annotate this book and then work through the different weekly projects in this book as well. And then the last book that I have is Wild and Free Family by Ainsley Arment. She wrote The Call of the Wild and Free, which came out, a couple of years ago, I think. Was it early? Was it farther back than that? I have no concept of time anymore. Time means nothing to me. I really liked that book, The Call of the Wild and Free. Of course, I was so many years into our homeschooling journey at that point, so a lot of the information wasn't super applicable to me, but I know that a lot of people love, love, love that book. The Brave Learner was more of a book that kind of opened my eyes to some different ways of thinking about homeschooling, and then some older books that I have read. I'll leave a link. I have a list of my favorite homeschooling books that I can share with you. I actually might have a video on some of my favorites as well. I'll look for that. I think I have one, or a blog post or something. But I did want to read this. I thought that it looked really interesting. Forging Your Own Path to a Life Full of Wonder, Adventure, and Connection, which is something that I have been thinking about. You know, I mean, I'm always thinking about this kind of stuff, but I just wanted to have more encouraging books, and there haven't been a whole lot of homeschooling books that have come out lately that have been super encouraging to me. I have read a few that I talked about earlier in the year, mainly Setting the Record Straight by Lee Binns, which is all about writing transcripts, which doesn't sound super exciting, but it was very helpful and calmed me down a lot. But this is exploring how to create a family culture that breaks the mold by seeking to connect with our children, unleash their gifts, pursue a shared vision together, and redeem generational brokenness. I thought that this would be very good for me, especially because it was kind of a tougher fall for me homeschool-wise. Again, it wasn't bad. It was just different. And I really thrive on change, but some of the things that have worked so well for me for many, many years weren't part of our days this fall because we were so busy, and we've been super busy, and we had to make some adjustments, and those can be a lot harder to do as the year is going on. But yes, so those are all of the books that I've recently gotten. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have questions about these books, or if you're interested in buddy reading, or want to discuss one of these books after I've read it, just let me know in the comments, or you can email me. My contact form is always in the description box. So again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks, guys. Bye.